Jim, when you're ready, we're
Test,
ready.
test, test.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna call the meeting of the Tainter Lake Rehabilitation District to order. Today's date is September 18th, 2025. We are meeting in the Dunn County Government Center, room 54. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda and the regular meeting minutes of 8/21 and Boating and Safety and Water Quality Committee meetings of 9/3 respectively?
I'll make a motion.
Oh, I will not. We're submitting the minutes, but our committee has not voted on approving the minutes.
Okay,
So I don't know if other committees are doing the same thing, where they're submitting the minutes to this board without having actually approved the minutes at their meetings. So we're doing things in the wrong process then.
okay. So you're gonna withdraw the Boating and Safety of 9/3?
Yes, because we need to actually approve those minutes at the next meeting.
Got it. Okay, so it would be the regular meeting minutes and the Water Quality Committee meeting of 9/3.
And has the water quality meeting met since then to approve your minutes?
Not me, I sent out the minutes to everybody via email and asked, and they did.
Turn your thing on.
I sent out the minutes that I did to all the members and they approved it.
It's probably not standard protocol, but I don't care.
Okay,
All right, so let's take action on this, or at least have a motion on the floor to approve the minutes.
I make a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes and the water quality minutes
And
Second.
and the agenda,
and the agenda.
okay?
And I second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Now, the discussion would be that in the future, is it the board's wishes that the committees approve their minutes before submission to us?
No.
You're okay with them just being submitted and that each committee can set their,
Yeah, I mean, my subcommittee meets twice a year. You know, maybe
Oh.
3 times,
okay,
so.
all right.
is it okay? Is it okay to email the members if they approve it that way, or do we need to wait till the next meeting?
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, Jim, but if you ask them to take action on something that isn't a part of a regular meeting, then you could be in violation of, but I think you could ask them if there's corrections that they want to make and that they would submit them to you. I think that's reasonable.
That's the way I do it.
But then you wouldn't have it approved.
Formally approved at the committee level.
So you want me to just wait till the next meeting now?
Yeah, if you're meeting on, okay, let's do it this way. If you're meeting on a regular basis, if you have monthly meetings, then I think it's okay to do that. But if you're like Adam's committee that meets twice a year, I would think once the chairperson can take the responsibility of making sure that they're accurate and their board and his or her board members are, or committee members are satisfied with the. Does that make sense? Because
I agree with
if,
that.
if we push it out too long, you know, our criticisms are that we never have minutes posted.
Right.
And we post and we try to post them as fast as we possibly can. On the other hand, we post them as drafts, and that's okay too, because then they're not approved at that point. So I guess the more I talk about it and the more I think about it, other than the fact that if you meet twice a year, I think you should, like Jim has indicated, you should wait, have them approved before we approve them at this level.
Okay,
But we'll post them on the website as drafts. Okay, sound good?
I mean, we wait an entire year before we approve the annual meeting minutes.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I
just
just
the
don't,
draft is posted.
yeah, and as long as we're posting draft minutes, it just means that we leave it up as a draft a little, a month longer, but people still know what's going on.
Yeah, because my whole thing is that when we have people grumbling about things, if we don't follow certain protocols and then someone decides they want to make a be a nuisance, then we could have an issue if we aren't following proper
Right,
proper protocols.
right. Got it. Okay, so that's how we're gonna do it in the future. I should probably take notes on that and then put a policy together for that. Because, so that we have some sort of, policy for minute approvals. Got it. I'll write something up, then put it on the agenda for this board to approve. Okay, so we have a motion and a second to approve the water quality and the regular meeting minutes. Although, are there any more discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. There is no speaker. So recognition of visitor comments. Bob, Joe,
No, sorry, I do not have one. I'll keep track of you though, Bob.
I just had a question on procedure from Grant I can ask that question, right? Yeah, it was just about, let me see, I think last meeting you were talking about the checks that you'd written in the previous period. And you mentioned something like $7 or something, when I knew that there was a 3,000 payment. So that you had made just recently before the meeting, and so I was just wondering about the timing.
Okay, you're gonna have to refresh my memory. Is it revolving around Donkey Docks?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. I did write that check. I would have to look and see what date it was written and deposited. The only issue we had with that one is you gave me the wrong total. You did not include sales tax. So I wrote a check, gave it to Shane. He called me fairly upset because it had been a while. So I wrote him a check for the proper amount and voided the other one.
Oh, okay.
So I
And-
didn't,
So in between that time, that's what gotcha.
it caused a little bit of a delay because I got it to him and when he went to look at it, it didn't match what he had on his invoice. And what you were missing was sales tax was all.
Yeah, and I was under the opinion that, you're
We're a tax exempt organization or
right.
something.
yes, we are. But that's a whole nother piece of work that has to be done with our vendors.
Well, okay, that's fine.
Until we get the proper paperwork done and to our vendors, we're like everybody else.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Okay? Moving on. Commissioner communication. Does anybody have anything they wanna?
I attended a couple of meetings. I was at the Red Cedar Water Quality Partnership meeting. And this is a really good group. It's fantastic if you want to learn something. It's a very diverse group. And I don't have, in my opinion, much to really add to the group. But while I was there, I did invite everyone to our fundraiser. And typically the email minutes go out to, I think it's 55 people. So hopefully some people will show up from other groups. I attended the Tainter Town Hall meeting last week, and I thank Jerry Murdew for attending our annual meeting again. I think Jerry has been at all three of them. He doesn't live on the lake, but he's a Tainter Town Hall, a Tainter Township, it's a term. Representative, thank you.
or trustee.
And he's interested in what we're doing. And I invited them all to our fundraiser. I attended the Alliance of the Dunn County Sports and Environmental Group last week as well, where we discussed at length the intern position that we help fund. This is a really good program, and I would really like to encourage our continued support for this position. And next summer, if we do have this position, we really should get that person involved in one of our projects. Because it is a fantastic learning experience for them and it's good for us. And these people that go through this program are mostly staying local. So it's good many different ways. And I invited everyone in that group to come to our fundraiser as well.
Tom, do we need to put the support of that intern position in the budget? And so that we can, instead of using leftover funds from other things, just put it down as a budgeted item that we're supporting?
I think moving forward, we probably should. Yes. And last year, we kind of gave the minimum of 250. Depending on what projects we have and what help we need. Maybe we want to put some more in.
Okay. Well, this kind of goes along with something else that I'm going to bring in front of the board, and that would be funding a research project through Stout. And so maybe we can combine the two pieces as kind of an outreach item. And I haven't put it on the agenda. I will next month. And so we can kind of push those together, and maybe that's sort of and I would like to be on the front end of, if we're going to do some research projects through Stout, I'd like to get into Tina Lee's office early, so she has 2 semesters to find somebody to do the work, as opposed to waiting for the last minute and then catch as catch can on the end. But I have a couple of ideas for some research projects that I think would help us. But I'll put that down as a agenda item. Anybody else have anything they would like to share with the board? Okay, treasurer's report, Jackie?
So our checking balance today, if you were able to see that, is 40,983.71. I did send a check to, I can't remember the name of the weed harvesting company. So with that clearing, we would have been around 2,000, but I just got the check from Jim for the rest of the tax levy. So there's about 18,000 going back in once I deposit that. So we're looking to be about 20,000 after all that clears. So that would be the difference there. We do have a little bit different, sorry, I should have started there, a little bit of different setup than what Grant had, obviously the same information, but we're starting with all of our tax levy, all of our miscellaneous revenue comes up here. So we have interest, grant reimbursement, insurance reimbursement. That just shows us what we brought in for the year. And then I do have what we had in plan. I know at one point we had spoke about wanting to see what we had planned versus what was actual spend or what was coming in. So that's over here on the right. And this is all of August through the rest of the year. I just have everything collapsed, obviously, since we're not using that yet. So we do have a little bit more tax levy money than what we had budgeted by about 4,600. So I don't know if that's something we want to look into, or if that's just based on if it fluctuates. I don't know enough about that to know if that's normal.
Well, when we set the tax levy amount, we're estimating
Okay.
based on property values.
Okay.
And so when we approve a tax levy, it's dollars and then a rate. And then all of a sudden, if the equalized valuation goes up and down, or when they put it through their formulas,
It's a little.
it can
Okay.
change
Okay.
a little bit.
Okay, so yeah, and then looking at expenses, like I said, I did send the check to the weed harvesting company this week, so, they'll have that shortly. We had the renewal of the post office box this month. We did pay the deposit to K Cole Consulting for that audit, coming up at the end of the year. And then a second invoice to, UW Stevens Point. Um, So once everything settles, we'll have about $20,443 for checking. In savings, that balance, the only thing that we're having, movement there is just, we are paying Ace Hardware for the Blackstone Grill. So we will, after that clears, just under $15,000.
Okay, is the fundraiser, do we have kind of like a project budget for that, or does it just all kind of run?
So
I-
our current budget on what we spent so far is $997.17, and we were given 1,000 to that from Shackleton, so.
We had talked at a meeting, I think we had approved up to 2,000. I'd have to look back at the minutes.
That sounds right.
Right.
So we'll be at like probably, say, pretty close to $1,400. So we'll come in 600 under what we had approved.
Okay,
And then we'll see how many raffle tickets we sold and add all that up when we're done on Saturday, I guess, see if we made any money or not.
okay. The, just so that you know, if you, Jackie, I kind of pushed on both Grant and Jackie a little bit. But Jackie's finally figured out and got it, both
you.
Grant and I got our heads around where we actually started with the carryover. So if you look
Yes. So
at the far right hand or far left-hand side, you will see that there's a balance forward.
Yep, so the balance forward from last year was $9,903.48. Previously, that wasn't included. We kind of always started the year at zero. And then, obviously we want our checking account to balance to what it should have in here. So, spent a little time going through everything, and which is gonna be helpful with the audit anyway. So everything is where it should be.
And the other thing too is we still have not gotten paid from the state for the reimbursement for that grant. So those dollars, the only reason why I point out that balance forward is, number one, we have a policy that says that we can create a reserve that's 10% of the 3-year average of what we have. So just be mindful of that. And because if we start going over that, then we have to put that back into property tax relief. Just so that we're clear on that, but it gives us a really good idea. Both Grant and Jackie have done a nice job of keeping accurate control or track of where our money is and what's taking place. The one thing I would ask Jackie is, when you get the tax levy entered in and the with or without the fundraiser, could you just update it and then send it out to the board so we kind of know where we're at? Because the question I was gonna ask is when we were gonna get paid the rest of our money, because looking at that going, well, we have 40,000 in the bank and I know we have
Back for
39,000 that was not going to leave us a whole lot, but
Yeah,
it's
we'll
not.
deposit that tomorrow, so we'll at least have money.
Okay,
It's a nice example of why having some of those carryover dollars every year is important. It just gives you that buffer.
well, a lot of
That's kind of
people,
what I've always said about it.
a lot of people
Past.
don't understand, they think you start with, $60,000 in the bank and then you send it out. Well, what they
That
don't
was
know is
zero.
nobody gives you any money to work with. And so we're always trying to figure out how we're gonna pay for things, so that's good, thank you. Um, can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
Do I?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Okay, hearing no further discussion or need for further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
I, hey,
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, committee updates, sedimentation.
I have an update. Excuse me. Chase Cummings of the Dunn County Land and Water Department wrote the initial portion of a surface water grant with regards to the erosion project that we have been trying to get off the ground. The Lake District will be responsible for completing the second half of this grant by the 15th of November. So this will get the project moving next year. I assume will be approved. Shouldn't assume anything, but I'm hopeful will be approved.
It sounds like stream-based, that stabilization is a high priority in surface water grants.
Yeah. Chase told me of a couple other grants, so we're gonna try to meet with him and get some more details and go from there. That's it for me.
Other committees?
Aquatic Vegetation's gonna have a subcommittee meeting this coming Tuesday at the Tainter Town Hall at 7 PM. And we're gonna be discussing a lot of the 2026 harvesting plan. So if anybody wants to have some input or public input, please make an appearance.
I'm gonna try to come to that. I'm gonna try to come to that, but I have a middle school track meet in Stratford, I think, so I may be a little late on that, but I'm gonna try to make that because I'd like to hear
September 23rd, 7 PM.
the comments. Anything else for Adam? Okay, by the way, Adam, I think is that posted on the website?
Yeah.
Okay, right.
Tom or Jim took care of that.
I think probably Jim did.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Someone did it.
All right, just checking. Fundraising committee, voter safety. Are you gonna just leave your comments to the?
No, there's some things that I can bring up that are not actionable type things. Some people may have noticed the buoys moved. We're not exactly sure if anybody was moving them. Bob was speculating that may have been the heavy vegetation that caused them to drift. We're not sure exactly what was causing them. Bob dragged a couple of them, I think, back into place. The northern Hay River, one of the buoys appeared to be missing. I haven't noticed if it appeared again, if it was just submerged under weeds or what. So we're trying to figure out what's going on with that. Adam, we talked about possibly doing some of those channel markers like you had suggested. However, the cost is upwards like $1,000 per marker. And being the number that we would need, that probably is not gonna fly. So I haven't heard back from the DNR as to whether we can do those, but we thought that the cost kind of put it out of where we want to spend money, unless somebody wants to contribute money toward those. And later we'll talk about going ahead with a public hearing for changes to the slow no wake ordinance in December. And that's all I have from this committee.
Okay. Fundraising and community connections?
Yeah, I guess main thing we've been focused on is this fundraiser that we're having on Saturday. So that's from 11 to 2 at Elk Point. Raffle tickets are still available. There'll be lunch served. So that's kind of the basics of Saturday, and then the drawing will occur around 1 o'clock. See if you win any prizes. You don't need to be present to win if you buy raffle tickets. As far as volunteering, if anybody's willing or interested to help with that, we're gonna meet at Elk Point about 4 o'clock tomorrow to set up a tent. So a few helping hands is always nice getting that up. I think we've got some people rounded up, but if anybody else wants to jump in and help, that'd be great. Then we're gonna get there about 9:30 on Saturday morning, so we give ourselves an hour and a half to do some other kind of final prep work. So if you wanna get involved with that, you sure could. We do have some people that are willing to kind of serve the food. It's just gonna be like pulled pork, beans, very simple. But if we had a few extra people that'd be willing to serve some food, that would be kind of nice, just to be able to rotate that through. And then, yeah, we'll be tearing the tent down on Sunday, but I think I'll have enough people available to help me do that.
11 to 2, right? With
11 to
raffles
2,
at
1.
1 o'clock? Okay.
Yep.
I think I got 6 people for tomorrow night too.
Okay, so we're set up pretty good for tomorrow night, and Sunday we'll get the tear down. So if anybody wants to come early, like around 9:30 on Saturday,
I'll be there.
a lot of that'll just be, we got to get all, that'll be the final time where people will be bringing in raffle tickets that have been sold. We got to get all the raffle tickets into the basket, just taking all the staples out of stuff. I mean, there'll be a lot of little things to do on Saturday morning, so we'd sure appreciate some help prior to the event, and hope we have a fun time. And I don't know fully what to expect exactly what we'll bring in for revenue, but I guess it's the first year doing something, so if nothing else, it'll be a building block for the future, and we'll figure out what worked and what didn't. So
Right.
9:30 on Saturday. Yep.
Yeah, Gail and I'll be there. Or me.
Okay. Yeah, I think we'll have quite a few helping hands in the morning on Saturday. I know Jane and Kip are both planning on being there too. So yeah, it'll just be kind of some of that final prep work that isn't a whole lot of heavy lifting or anything like that. It just kind of need to have a few busy bees keeping things moving. So
Okay. Anything else for Graham? Water quality?
We met on Wednesday, September 3rd at Tainter Town Hall for a short meeting, and I just wanted to kind of debrief on our July town hall meeting. So we got some good comments on that from the crew, and kind of know where we stood on that. Talked about some projects to work on next, and I think the biggest thing for us is to get out there in the farmers' fields and meet and greet some people. And I'm going on Monday to Glenwood City to a farm out there, and gonna do a field check of multi-species cover crops.
Hmm.
So I'll get that out to my people. I just got short notice on it today, and but I got kind of an in with the farmer-led watershed council, and her name is Becky Brothel, and she's really a go-getter and has a lot of meetings. So I'm looking forward to meeting some farmers this year.
Good. Good. Any questions for Chuck? Okay, moving on. Discussion and action. First one is approval of insurance quote for Versted Insurance Monty did not get a quote to me, in time to take action on it. Because what he did, was, he sent it out to see it, to bid to see if he could get a better price for us. So what I was trying to do is approve this in October. So in the past 2 years, what he's done is he's written the check out to the company and we've paid him back. I was trying to avoid doing that whole thing. So it doesn't look like, well, it'll be approved then in October. And I don't know when our policy runs out, but I'll check on that. But, so basically, we need to take no action on this because there's not a insurance quote, available at this time, and we'll move it on to the next month. But I'd really like to approve it before we pay it, as opposed to pay it and then approve it. And, Monty has to be aware of that, so. Any questions?
I have a question about, the coverages for, buoys. We talked about it in our meeting that if we have a buoy that gets stolen, does our insurance cover something that gets, a buoy that gets stolen and has to get replaced? And do we have coverage for like damage that like somebody plows over it with a wake boat, or something and takes it out?
I asked Monty the question about if somebody hits it or whatever once, and we do have coverage for that. Now, if somebody steals it, I don't know what those buoys cost. And I don't know what our deductible is.
Well, you know what they cost, if it's in the budget, basically, the cost for the buoy.
Yeah,
And we would have a problem too, like if somebody stole a buoy and cut the chain, and then the weight and the chain is at the bottom of the lake, then we'd be replacing like a whole thing and not just a buoy.
I will ask him,
Okay.
and,
Yeah, we need to know what our deductible is to be able to answer.
Yeah,
I'm
Well, it
sure
makes
that's
sense
in
to do.
I'm sure that's in our paperwork. I just don't have that memorized.
What about a policy for, acts of nature, like thousands of pounds of weeds washing down the channel and sinking them or wrecking them? Because I mean, I guarantee you that's what happened to the one in the hay. You
Could
couldn't
be.
even drive a boat through there for a week when all that let go. That wrapped around that chain, that would not surprise me one bit.
yeah, and I haven't had the chance to go up there to even look to see if it is just,
It may be pop up over time here, we'll see, but
was it?
I think.
So we paid our last insurance coverage in December, but if you were saying that's likely to be paid because he paid it for us.
Yeah, I think, I want to say it's the end of October, like October 31st that our policy runs to.
that's why we ended up with that reimbursement. Is we overpaid, then he got a better price and reimbursed us the difference, and then we deposited that as a check. So
Yeah.
that's on there from this past.
I'm just
week.
trying to get it straight
Yeah.
right once, so that he doesn't mind doing that. But on the other hand, I'd just as soon not burn all our favors.
Yeah.
So I think we're good. But I will check on the insurance coverage for buoys for loss, theft, and, accidents. Okay. Anything else on insurance? Okay. Next item on the agenda is the review of the plan of work and future activities. I didn't get anything out to you, because to be quite honest with you, I didn't get it done. And, the vacation took me a lot more out of me than I thought it would. But here's what I would like, to do is if, committee chair people, if you could just get me one or two goals that you would have this year and just email them to me and I'll put it together for next, for the 20, I'm trying to align our plan of work with our strategic plan with our budget. And so, it's gonna be kind of a work in progress here for, eventually we'll wind up with one document with everything aligned. But, I just wanna kind of take some time and do it right once. Excuse me. So if you would get that to me, for example, Grant, for, fundraising, if you plan on 2 events, just say 2 events for 25, you know, and you don't have to be any more specific than that. Or if you have a dollar goal in mind or connections that you want to make, just I'll wordsmith it so it, you know, fits with everything else. So if you'd all kind of do that for me, I'd really appreciate it. Is anything else, on that people want included in the work plan or future activities?
I'm just, the more things we explore, I really think we need to get our feet to the ground on the lake management plan. And I think in hindsight, we should have been going for the surface. We talked and I got a lot of bids about doing the surface water grant for an aquatic vegetation plan, and Al and I are taking that on ourselves, but in hindsight, I wish we would have had our feet to the ground to do that for the lake management plan for this year. And the grant writing for that opportunity for us won't be until November of 26.
Right.
But I think we need to, I really think we need to have like the cost share budgeted at our 26th annual meeting and get bids and be writing that surface water grant and probably hiring somebody to write that grant and get rolling on that. Because any project of significance that we want to do is tied to us having that, and that alone is going to take a few years, I think.
How do you propose about getting the components together for that, Adam? I mean, do you see that as something that you and I should sit down and kind of map out what needs to be done? Or is there anybody else that wants to join us? I mean,
I think it's a big project that all subcommittees should have some like investment in and interest in, you know?
Yeah, anything that one of your committees may potentially want to do in the future, there should be some note of it or documentation of that this might be a goal that we'd want to do in that lake management plan. Yeah, I think everybody needs to have the kind of it's kind of like what Al just asked for. What are the goals of your subcommittee? Well, that would tie into a lake management plan.
I would be willing to help Adam and Al. And the other question is, could we pull anything in from the strategic plan that we did?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's the strategic plan is kind of like a mini management plan. It gets us focused in the right direction. It creates the committees, it creates the structure with which we communicate and work. Now what we have to do is then take all of that and then push that towards that one management plan.
So one thing I'll throw out there that this is my personal opinion on what we should do is I think we should consider contracting with an engineering firm. We're going to need to do that anyway for the erosion problem up by Dobbs. That's certainly all going to have to be engineered. And from some research that I have done, these engineering firms have people within their organization that will basically help you from start to finish on these lake management plans. So I'm sure that'll cost some money, but they take care of grant writing, they take care of putting all these components together, like what you're saying, which none of us know how to do. So if we don't work with someone like that, the chances of it getting put it together wrong and having to go back and fix it, or it taking 5 years to do because we're all volunteers that have things outside of this board to do. I think if we want to get moving and try to really get after some of these problems that are affecting our lake, that we need to at least interview some of these engineering firms, and I would suggest that that would be a great speaker to have on one of these monthly meetings to invite them to speak to us about, okay, how does this go from start to finish? Here's what we would help you with. And then from there, we could get a rough cost on what that would be. But I think we're going to get a lot better results if we work with people that have done it a bunch before, and we'll probably get more grant reimbursement and everything like that too. So
It would be nice if there was an engineering firm that we could get that may not necessarily have a dog in the fight that would advise us. You know, the problem I always have with getting guidance from a particular engineering firm that's gonna put in a bid is, okay, they really have an inside track. I mean, not that that's necessarily bad, because Adam and I both found out that there isn't, you would think that there'd be engineering firms that would be looking for work. Well, they're kind of hard to find, to be quite honest with you, to get that advisement. But I think that's a point well taken, Grant, that we need to figure out how to have somebody direct us and guide us through that whole process.
I have a lot of information about that too, and I'd like to make it an October agenda thing. And I can
Okay.
talk about, because I went through a lot of this shopping for contractors for the aquatic vegetation plan and talked to them about, like, this is step A, but we'd be, kind of trying to solicit interest. And I think we'll have more people interested in doing a lake management plan because it's a more extensive project.
It costs more money.
Yeah, and so,
Which is the plan that Tyler Mesock said we only had to do 20 pages.
that's the aquatic vegetation plan that
Okay.
Al and I are gonna write ourselves.
Okay,
And like the strategic plan has some legwork done for that, and there's so many studies on Tainter out there that I think we plan to cite, and there's we've all seen these documents, and so I think if we can accumulate some of that stuff and.
yes, some of those lake management plans are like 100 pages,
Oh,
aren't
yeah,
they?
yeah.
Well, and they're pretty scientific also.
Yeah.
And they may include other studies, and this is where it would be nice. I think we are on the front end of the process as opposed to coming in at it last minute. And so I think it's good to get it on the agenda. I think it's good to talk about it early, and I think it's good to talk about it often. And it would be nice to kind of set a goal to say that we'll have the process all laid out for us by the next annual meeting, so that we can plan on spending, we can have a proposal for the money to be able to do what Grant was talking about.
In the learning I've done about it, I see it as a document that's gonna be very hard for a group of volunteers like us to produce and produce well.
Well-
And so if we want to get serious about doing any sort of project on the lake, we need this first. And so it's that initial investment to try to get things moving forward is what we're gonna have we gotta educate people on,
Well-
and they get to decide.
And I think we have to, and the nice thing is if we start doing the process early, I think that education component is key. We spring a $30,000 ticket item on people at an annual meeting that nobody's ever heard about I
Yeah.
think that we may have some people stroke out on us on
Yeah, let's get talking about it this fall so everybody has a clear understanding.
Yeah,
Let's get one or two different engineering firms to to maybe even speak at these meetings to tell us what their method of doing it is. And just have it out in front of everybody, because like Adam said, he understands the dates better than I do, but to apply for, let's say, like a vegetation harvester, you have to have that grant application in the fall, don't you?
That would be through the boating and recreational facilities grant, and I believe that's quarterly. So like that, like an aquatic vegetation harvester, like the grant that Chase Cummings is
Surface
going
water,
for.
yeah.
Like if he didn't meet this deadline, that'll be available again in January. So that's quarterly. But these lake planning grants are the surface water grant, and that's once a year.
And that's in the fall.
Yep.
So you gotta be ready to go for it.
Our pre-application is due September 15th. And then the deadline is November 15th.
Yeah, so if we
I
had
think we
that
need to
approved,
consult that grant writing for the fall of 26.
I think it would just help for communication purposes to have an outline of dates and process, much like what Jim and his committee did with the buoy police. With the ordinance revision. And, you know, they outlined it as to what those dates were. I think that would help.
you know,
Okay. Anything else on that? That's a point well taken. Adam, I put it down. Engineering firm.
Well, I think just
I got
lake management plan discussion, and we can roll that into it. And I have some, I believe if I dig back, I have some quotes for vegetation plans that maybe even projected that lake management plan, so.
Yeah, if you can get some of that put together
I've seen $50,000 to $70,000.
for the management plan. Yeah, I think the grant is up to 50,000.
Okay.
If I remember correctly.
I believe.
So. Okay. Anything else on that? Okay. Voting, no, discussion of statewide activities related to wake boats. Chuck, I think you asked to have that put on.
Yeah, I've been doing quite a bit of research on this the last couple of months, and lately I think we're in kind of like the movie, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Good being July of this year, the University of Minnesota, St. Anthony Falls Lab put out a 185-page report, which is pretty long. But one of the things that they emphasized was wake boats should operate in at least 20 feet of water while in the surfing mode. And nobody's really come out and said that before and proved it. The bad part is statewide activities are pretty much nil. There's two large lobbying groups out there. The anti-wake boat groups, Lakes at Stake, Last Wilderness Alliance, and other groups, and they're versus two very powerful lobbying groups from the wake boat manufacturers, the National Marine Manufacturers Association or the Water Sports Industry Association. In 2023, and everybody's trying to ram through their own agenda. In 2023, the pro wake boat people tried to ram through a bill through the Wisconsin legislature that was very milquetoast and would not have benefited lake associations or lake districts at all. And thankfully it was killed. And this year, state senator from up north got the two lobbying groups together along with some state legislators, met twice in May and could not agree on any bill or endorsements. And then recently you've probably seen where the pro-wake boat people were gonna try to ram another bill through the legislator, working around the Labor Day scenario. So not much help from the state end of it. The ugly or possible ugly end of this is, at least from our possible side, would be in May of this year, the Eau Claire law firm of Weld Riley filed a lawsuit versus the town of Scott for enacting restrictions on wake boat operations on 4 lakes in Burnett County. Weld Riley is asking for $190,000 plus for the plaintiffs. And now the case has been moved from state to federal court, which means that it's going to cost the town of Scott a lot more to defend their position. The trial date is set for about a year from now. It's October 26, 2026. And on top of this, we have a Weld Riley office here in Menominee. So, and this is my opinion, only. I'm probably going to disappoint some of you, probably going to disappoint my people on my committee. But I think we should hold off on doing anything as far as seeking an ordinance on wake boats until after the decision is made in October of next year. I mean, we can come up with a plan, go through all the process, the public hearings, the DNR, this, the sheriff's department. We can do all the background and come up. But if these people lose that case, it's going to be all for naught. So again, I'm recommending that we hold off on doing anything until after that decision comes out in October of next year.
Chuck, is there a possibility that we get sued if we don't do something?
You can get sued nowadays for anything. There's more lawyers in the United States than the rest of the world combined, I believe. So there's a possibility of getting sued for anything.
There are no cases out there yet.
No.
Okay. Good.
And this is the first case that's come out. And there's 59 other lake districts or lake organizations or townships that have ordinances that pertain to wake boat restrictions or wake boat bans. The largest being the tribe up in northern Wisconsin. They have a bunch of lakes up there.
And
So
that, they actually reverted on that law. They had a wake boat ban and now they've come back to, or at least this is how they're enforcing it, is all you have to do is have your ballast system disconnected. So you can still wake surf and have a 24-foot, nautique surf boat. You just can't have a ballast system. So different lake systems have different reasons or issues. Up there, it's Eurasian water milfoil. That's the only thing. I mean, some of the lakes are huge and deep and
yeah,
not an issue for the size of, it's the wakes they produce are irrelevant compared to a sustained 30-mile-an-hour wind. So that's what the Lac de Flambeau tribe has switched to. And what happened with them is they came out with a law quicker than they understood what the law they created, and they had big enforcement trouble. And that's the thing. There's a lot of loopholes with wake sports. And I'm seeing them up there. I spent a lot of time on that chain, and people are coming up with alternative, So I think I'm probably ultimately gonna vote against any wake boat ordinance as long as I sit on this board. But there's some good education we could do. So.
I haven't been actively researching this, but every time I pick up a paper, I see something about, wake surfing, and, believe it or not, the Price County, newspaper, I can't remember what it's called, Price County something or another. They had a big article on it. I think I get the Outdoor News. They've had several articles on it, so it's a discussion. I think we would be remiss, as a group if we didn't have a discussion in time. As Chuck says, we're not to do anything right now, but I think it's worth a discussion. One of the things that people have said also is that they've had a lot of success or some success with just educating people using and that are surfing is stay in the deepest part of the lake and stay away from the ordinance. If most, unless it's a really shallow lake, most of the ordinances that I've seen have 500 to 700 feet away from the shore and in greater than 20 feet of water. And I think as long as the people on our lake try to do the best they can to stay out in the middle of the lake and things like that. Right now, we have an educational opportunity, and I think that's where we should start on this whole thing too. And so whether or not we go forward with an ordinance is I would agree with Chuck. Let's let's not be on the bleeding edge, but we can be on the leading edge. And we can do something once the issues are a lot clearer.
I'd be willing to produce like a 500 or 700 foot setback map. I mean, it's down, most of the wake surfing's down by like Chuck and Grants or, I mean.
They're doing it on our lake down there,
Down in your end, yeah.
but I have to admit, and I will say this publicly, the one time or two times that I've seen the boats do it, they were out in the middle of the lake and, they were as deep a water as they can get and as far away from shore as they could be. And so I mean, that's all we can ask at this point right now. Anyway,
And we don't have a lot of them, and one of them's been on the lake for 15 years, and so like all of a sudden our district fires up and I think they're the people that are out there are pretty responsible. And I do a lot of water skiing and chasing calm water, and I've like, in 2 years, I haven't encountered a wake boat out there, I mean, they're probably out on the weekends or something, but
I think we have 5. Adam,
Yeah.
does that sound right?
yeah.
Okay, I mean, just to throw out a little bit more on the controversy on this is the pro wake boat people are saying 700 feet from shore. And I just printed something out today on the Water Sports Industry Association, which is pro wake boat. They say stay at least 200 feet away from shore. So the pro wake boat people, 200 feet, anti-wake boat people, 700 feet. So, there's a lot of differences out there, a lot of research to be done. So,
One
but
thing
yeah,
I noticed about the U of M study was that it's, and I think one thing that it would be difficult on Tainter is having 20 feet of water. I think that whole main portion is only 15 feet or something.
you're
But
absolutely right.
That study also said you shouldn't operate a power boat in less than 10 feet of water. Well, that that shuts a lot of motorized boating down for
Yeah, I didn't go through.
80% of the lake.
Yeah.
So
That's in that study, the 185 pages. Huh? Okay, good to know.
well, the other thing too is Tim Tyre, and I don't know, I've met with Tim a couple of times. He works and he is part owner of a company that has done extensive research on wake boats in the southern part of the state. And so he lives in Menominee and does have research. And they've done a lot of research on wake boats. So, I mean, it's not like we don't have multiple sources of research. But Chuck, I think your point is well taken. Right now, we should hold off and make sure that we communicate and discuss. But I don't think there's anything wrong with discussion in a positive and constructive manner.
And I'm digging for it in the there is a current law, like, so if somebody goes by in a wake boat and like subs a canoe, like they can be ticketed for that, so there's
If they what, Adam?
if like somebody's just irresponsible with their wake boat and like sinks a canoe or something. They
Okay.
can be cited, and I'm looking for, I'm pretty sure, but
Okay.
I'm digging for it. The sheriff's department would,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, there's a state law on it. I'm just looking for it. Right, yeah, that's enforcement's a whole nother issue with anything. So.
Yeah, well, enforcement of it, that's a whole enforcement is a issue with any ordinance. So anyway, thank you, Chuck. Does anybody else have anything to add to the conversation? At this time, we're not taking any action. Everybody good with that? Your silence, I would say, is acceptance.
Yep.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. I don't need a motion, just a head nod would be good. Boating and Safety Committee, Jim, you're up.
We met, we coordinated with the committee and with Pete Wetzel from the DNR, and giving a 60 days notice. We would like to go ahead with scheduling the public hearing on Wednesday, December 3rd at 7 PM at the Tainter Town Hall. I just sent a note to Doris, the clerk, to ask her about reserving that potentially. But looking at their calendar, is nothing on the calendar for Wednesday, December 3rd at 7 PM at the town hall. So, so if they are good with that, that should give us enough time to do a 60-day notice in the Colfax Messenger, and obviously with the website, Facebook page, and plenty of time to plan for the public hearing.
What was that date again, Jim?
Wednesday, December 3rd at 7 PM.
And what is going to be the format of that meeting, Jim?
Pretty much the same as the last one, which is, let me see if I can look at the agenda for us. Very short agenda, basically a presentation to outline, in this case, proposed changes to the ordinance where the committee agrees, and then the possibilities of, on the southern end of the channel, what I had talked about with a couple of different options, which is don't do anything, extend to a little further south into the channel, go to the end of the channel where it widens out, and then we probably would also at least talk about the possibility of going all the way down to Pine Point, because there's one committee member that's in favor of that. But it's, again, it's not the consensus of the committee. And then get feedback from the public, what they think. No action would be taken at the public hearing. It would just be to get feedback from the public. And having a DNR representative there is going to be really advantageous. It worked really well last time we had a public hearing.
And then, so you see our group making the decision as to what option to choose or what direction to take after that meeting?
After that meeting. And I think that the way I'm envisioning it would be, we'd have the public hearing. Our committee would then meet to talk about the feedback at the public hearing, and then make our own final recommendation,
Okay.
which then would come back to the board. And you guys, everybody else in the board would be well informed because you were participants in the hearing in the first place.
Jim, did you ever email us the survey results?
I don't know if I did. They are on the website,
Oh, okay.
but I'm pretty sure I emailed them
I'll
back
find it.
at some point.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions of Jim? Okay. That's what we're gonna do then, Jim.
Does there have to be a motion? Or
If you make one,
I will make a motion that uh pending approval, pending the Tainter Town Hall being available for a meeting on December 3rd, that we schedule a public hearing about changes to the Snow No Wake ordinance on Wednesday, December 3rd at 7 PM at the Tainter Town Hall.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
There's been a motion and a second to establish a public hearing on slow and awake zones and their potential extension on Wednesday, December 3rd at 7 PM. At the Tainter Town Hall. Is there any further discussion? Okay, hearing no further requests for discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Jim, and thank you to your committee. Next meeting. Agenda items. We're gonna put on the agenda, lake management plan, discussion of lake management plan. I'm assuming there's going to be an insurance bid. Anything else that I need to? Is there any boater safety items that need to be added?
Better not be.
Had to ask, Jim. Anything else? I'll put down a report on our fundraiser.
Yeah, I was thinking we could discuss that right in the committee reports and updates. Maybe what we can do is try to put together a little like profit and loss on the event, just so we can show how we came out. I can.
It's all gonna be profit.
Yeah.
We're gonna look at it positively. Anything else that you want added to the agenda?
Our next meeting then is Thursday, October 16th. Does that ring a bell?
Yep. Tom, you had a speaker?
I do. 1 second, please. The gentleman's name is Shemek. It's a strange spelling, so I will include his actual name and the spelling of his first name. It's Shemek Baher. He is the leader of CARP Solutions, and I asked him to discuss maybe some methodology and timelines and costs of a more aggressive carp removal from Tainter Lake.
Is that the guy from the cities, Tom?
Mhm.
He's sharp.
Mhm.
He's known the world over as a carp expert.
Yep. So, and Jim, I will get you his email because I assume you have to set up a Zoom with him. He's not coming in person. Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, that's all I have. Motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. And I wanted noted that an hour and 10 minutes.